The little girl's cries shattered the peaceful afternoon silence of the park. Her tiny hands clutched the edge of the wooden bench, as if it was the only thing keeping her from drowning in a sea of fear. She was just 6 years old, with big teary eyes and trembling lips. To anyone passing by, she looked heartbreakingly fragile, like a lost bird unsure of where home was. The park, filled with the laughter of children and the gentle hum of parents chatting, suddenly seemed too loud, too overwhelming for this frightened little soul. It was in that exact moment that Alina noticed her. Alina, a young woman of only 23, worked as a nanny. She didn't come from wealth or luxury. Her life had always been defined by survival, long hours, little pay, and dreams that constantly felt too far to reach. She often came to the park because it was free, safe, and gave her a strange comfort to sit among families even when she had no one of her own. That day, she was walking home after another tiring day of caring for children who weren't hers when the little girl's sobs pulled her heart like a magnet. She couldn't look away. Alina approached slowly, crouching down to the girl's level. Her heart ached seeing how small and terrified the child looked. She could have walked away, telling herself it wasn't her problem, but Alina was not the kind of woman who turned her back on suffering. She knew too well what it felt like to be abandoned, to cry out and have no one answer. She gently asked what was wrong, her voice soft and warm, the kind that wraps around you like a blanket. The little girl stammered through her tears that she couldn't find her father. Her mother had died 2 years ago, and the idea of being lost, even for a few minutes, triggered something deep inside her, an unbearable fear of being left alone in the world. "Can I stay in your house?" the girl whispered desperately, in the only way a child knows how to ask for shelter. "Like a doghouse. I don't need much, I promise." Those words pierced Alina's heart. It wasn't just fear in the girl's eyes. It was the haunting knowledge of loss, something far too heavy for a child so young. Back in index pointing right if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of simple compassion. Please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Alina didn't have much to offer in life. Her apartment was barely big enough for herself. But in that moment, she gave the girl something more valuable than walls or a roof. She gave her presence. She sat beside her, wiped her tears, and spoke softly about how brave she was. She pointed at the trees, swaying gently above them, saying that even the trees were watching over her, that she wasn't alone. Slowly, the little girl's sobs quieted, her small hand clutching Alina's like it was the only anchor she had left. Minutes passed, but to the little girl, it felt like safety had returned because of this stranger's kindness. Then, from a distance, a tall man came rushing through the park, his eyes wild with panic. He was calling out the name Amara over and over, his voice sharp with both fear and desperation. The little girl jumped up at the sound, her face lighting up with relief. "Daddy!" she cried, running into his arms. The man dropped to his knees, scooping her up and holding her so tight it was as if he'd never let go again. His expensive suit, his polished shoes, and the sleek car parked nearby all screamed of wealth and status. Yet in that moment, none of it mattered. He was just a father who had almost lost the one thing that kept him alive. Alina, standing quietly a few steps away, prepared to slip back into her anonymity. She didn't want thanks, didn't expect acknowledgement. She was used to being invisible. But the man looked up, his eyes locking onto hers. There was a storm of emotions in them. Relief, gratitude, confusion, and something deeper he couldn't name. He walked toward her, still holding his daughter. He asked what had happened, and little Amara explained in her innocent way how Alina had stayed with her, comforted her, and promised she wouldn't be alone. The man's throat tightened at the thought of a stranger giving his daughter what money never could. Comfort in a moment of despair. Alina simply smiled softly, saying anyone would have done the same. But deep down she knew not everyone would. Too many people in the park had walked past that crying child, assuming someone else would handle it. The man introduced himself as Adam, but what Alina didn't realize was that Adam was no ordinary father. He was a millionaire CEO, a man whose face often appeared in magazines and newspapers. He was powerful, wealthy, and accustomed to people seeking his attention for personal gain. But here was a woman who didn't even recognize him, who saw only a child in pain and stepped forward selflessly. The days that followed were unexpected. Adam couldn't stop thinking about the encounter. His daughter, too, spoke constantly of the kind lady at the park. For the first time in years, Adam felt something stir in his heart, a reminder of the values his late wife once believed in. She used to say that money builds houses, but kindness builds homes. Adam had forgotten that truth until he saw it reflected in Alina's actions. Alina's life, meanwhile, carried on in its difficult rhythm. She returned to her small nanny jobs, cooking meals she could barely afford, dreaming of one day finishing her education. She had no idea that her simple act of kindness was about to open a door she never imagined. A week later, Adam showed up at the park again, this time with Amara. The little girl ran straight to Alina, hugging her tightly as if they had known each other for years. Adam watched silently, moved by how natural their bond seemed. He offered Alina a job, not just as a nanny, but as Amara's companion, someone to bring warmth and stability into his daughter's fragile world. Alina hesitated. Wealthy families often look down on people like her. But when she looked at Amara's hopeful eyes, she couldn't say no. She agreed, not for the money, but for the little girl who had once begged for shelter like a stray searching for a home. Working for Adam was unlike anything Alina had known. His mansion was vast, his lifestyle extravagant, but beneath it all, she discovered how lonely both father and daughter were. Adam buried himself in work, trying to mask his grief over his late wife, while Amara longed for affection and a motherly presence. Alina became the missing piece neither of them realized they needed. She read bedtime stories, cooked simple meals filled with love, and reminded them that family wasn't about perfection, but about being there for each other. As weeks turned into months, Adam saw a transformation in his home. Laughter returned to rooms that had once echoed with silence. His daughter smiled more, slept better, and clung to life with the fearless joy of childhood. And at the center of it all was Alina, the poor nanny who had once been invisible, now the heartbeat of their lives. But not everyone approved. Whispers spread among Adam's business circle. Why let a nobody into your world? Some sneered. Others assumed Alina had ulterior motives. But Adam, for the first time, didn't care what anyone thought. He had built an empire, earned billions, but none of it compared to the peace he felt when he saw his daughter safe and happy. And none of it compared to the admiration he had for the woman who made it possible. One evening, as rain poured outside and the three of them sat by the fireplace, Amara leaned against Alina's shoulder and whispered, "This feels like home now." Adam's eyes welled up at those words. He realized that what his wealth had failed to provide, Alina had given freely, with nothing but her heart. Back in Index Pointing Right, if this story touched your heart, please give it a like, share it with someone who believes in love and kindness, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more inspiring stories. And here's a special request. Comment below with one act of kindness you've received or given in your life. Let's fill the comments with hope and positivity. By the time seasons changed, Adam knew he couldn't imagine his life without Alina. She wasn't just a nanny anymore. She was family. A woman who had walked into their lives with nothing but compassion and ended up giving them everything they truly needed. The story of a poor nanny and a terrified little girl in the park wasn't just a fleeting encounter. It became a turning point. It proved that kindness has the power to heal wounds deeper than money ever could, and that sometimes the people who seem to have the least end up giving the most.